fun for people who enjoy it. It can be a bit harrowing if you're not that kind of person, but we all have to drive there because that's where we live. When you're driving on a highway, you might notice as you're going up a hill or down a hill, you can smell something. It smells kind of like a plastic smell. It's actually called phenolic. Now, what is that smell? What you're smelling are the brakes off of the vehicles going down the hill. On the prairies, you don't necessarily have a lot of that, but in the mountains, you need to use your brakes. If you're driving a big rig and you have a full load, your brakes are getting used a lot, and they're wearing out fast. And how do brakes work? Brakes work by squeezing things together, and that creates friction, and friction creates heat, and that's that smell. Hot brakes. Now think about that as we follow this truck down the hill. Hot brakes on a big rig, you get hot enough to start a fire, and that's what this piece is about. When you pass those things at the top of a hill that say pull out here, check your brakes, that's for these big trucks, and there's good reasons for that. They don't only want them to check that their brakes are not going to fail, or not already failed, but that they're not overheated, because an overheated brake can fail or cause a fire, and the results can be really bad. And on a big rig like that, you might not know you have a fire until you see the smoke or until you stop somewhere. And where do busy drivers stop? Well, they stop when they want to get gas. Last night, one of these drivers stopped at the Cardlock on Donaldson, the Petro-Pass Cardlock, and when he was at the pumps, he noticed his rear wheels were on fire. He did the right thing. He moved away from the pump. And then he got his fire extinguishers and he worked on putting the fire out. In the process, one of the bladders that makes for air ride exploded. I don't live that far away, and I thought I heard thunder. I went out to look, and it was a clear sky, and we could hear sirens a little while later, and they stopped by, close by where I lived, and I was able to figure out where they were, and I went over there and I checked it out. Take a look at this. So, Fire Chief Dale Harriet, we're at the Cardlock here on Donaldson, and you have a bit of excitement, I see.
Yeah, we got called to a semi-tractor and trailer with rear wheel on fire.
And, I see a couple of fire extinguishers. I guess they worked on it before you got here. Is that what it is?
Yeah, the driver had 2 fire extinguishers. He used both fire extinguishers on it. They actually managed to get the flame out before we got here. The wheel is still very hot. One of the airbags blew from the heat, kind of burned and then blew the airbag, and it's still pretty hot, so we're cooling right now.
You say airbag, you mean like suspension?
Yeah, suspension airbag,
okay.
Yeah.
So is this the brakes or the axle or what?
Probably one of the brakes stuck. Okay. Yeah.
So I saw you guys, you have an infrared camera, right?
Yeah.
That's what you were
using?
using?
We have a thermal imaging camera, and it's a fantastic tool for us for detecting the heat and just finding out if we have done our job and cooled it, or if we need to do more cooling in other areas.
That's nice. It's good that you got that. And this is quite the place to have a fire here, right on over top of the tanks.
Well, fortunately, the driver, when he noticed the fire, he pulled away from the pumps, and that was pretty fortunate for us, because we don't really want to get that whole thing going.
Okay, well, thank you. I guess you had a pretty good response here, and I see a lot of people around, and it's good that everybody was up top of their game, I guess.
Yeah, we had good response, and the crew's doing a bang-up job, and pretty much all we can ask for.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Les.
Okay. So as you can hear from Fire Chief Harriet, it's not a bad situation, but it could have been worse, and it was averted by quick thinking, people aware of what they should be doing, like pulling the truck away from the pump, and technology. I mean, if they did not have that thermal camera, how would they know for sure that the wheel had cooled down enough that it wouldn't start a new fire? What's for GFTV? I'm Les at the Cardlock on Petro-Pass Cardlock on Donaldson, just before 9 o'clock Thursday night. So there's a good reason to think of maybe having your own fire extinguisher in your vehicle, especially if you're carrying a big load, like a trailer or a camper. And even if you aren't, it's a nice thing to have around just in case you come across somebody else who's got a problem. For GFTV, I'm Les.